regular, but you're going to hear very little bit in the back, like just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little lower.
Yeah.
Check.
That was Serato. Serato I had on the laptop. It was a little loud. All right. So we got that.
Everybody's cool.
Good.
Yeah. So I'm gonna put the program on for now, and then I'll tell you I'm gonna go for
All right. Everybody full of energy.
I'm in there. I'm ready.
Energy,
I'm ready. Let's go.
So I'll start playing the instrument and then we'll talk. And what I have to do is go on the app, make sure that this shit sounds good.
Good evening, boxing world. Bars and Hoops Radio presents AB Box News Podcast Show, 8 to 9 p.m. every Thursday. I'm Antonio Baez with
Southpaw Mello
and
The Nose Hunter, the Urban Legends.
There you have it, the dynamic trio, the Three Musketeers, if you want to have some humor. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're back for another episode, 8 to 9 p.m. every Thursday night. And guys, how are you?
I'm good.
I'm doing great, man. I'm just this year's already off to a pretty decent start, man. Boxing is live, man. Boxing is going to be packed, man, this year. There's just a lot of great fights, a lot of great events coming up.
Yes. As we're approaching the middle of March, we've had back-to-back great weeks of boxing, and I'm looking forward to another fight week, guys. And this week we have a lot of boxing. We got Ortiz Hooker on the Zone. We have ESPN Plus and regular ESPN. We got the return of Mcbaby in Russia, and then we have also on the Zone earlier Saturday we have Oakley versus Gulaki, which is I would say a pretty fair fight, 50-50 fight, close fight. We'll get more into that, but we got to rewind a little bit, guys. Last week, a lot of controversy. So those who did not watch the Zone, we had Estrada win against Gonzalez.
That was a close fight too, man.
It was. That one judge that had that wide margin. I don't know what's going on with that, but
right, and actually they suspended him temporarily.
Yeah,
right? So
I heard that.
So first off, 117, 111, too wide of a score.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he's temporarily suspended as of right now. But I'll go to you guys, Southpaw Mello. What was your reaction towards that decision?
That wide margin threw me off one. I could have seen it a draw, maybe. I thought Chocolatito did enough to win, but that wide margin decision really threw me off. I was shocked at that one.
I feel like I think maybe they cost Chocolatito a little more. He probably didn't show enough defense. I don't think his defense was up to par what we were used to seeing. Roman Gonzalez.
Right.
I think that's what kind of cost him. I think he took maybe a little bit too many unnecessary punches, and I think they were just trying to have a fan-friendly fight. And it definitely was a fan-friendly fight. I take nothing away from Chocolatito with the loss, because I don't really call it a loss. I call it a tight decision. You have tight fights, some win, some lose. But guess what? They can always be open for a rematch in the future.
Right. Will we see part 3 down the line?
Hopefully not another 8 years. that rematch was 8 years in the making.
It was. I mean, Nose Hunter, what was your take from part 2, Estrada Gonzalez?
I mean, it's just highly competitive. I mean, I just feel, like I said, the wide margin is just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is now we got to really start questioning these judges now. It's like in the future, if these judges keep officiating fights, man, how many upsets we're going to have in the future? We have to definitely hold them apart and really question their decision making. Maybe even in the future, maybe have some appeals.
Yeah,
right. I agree. I think this is a fight I have to watch again, honestly, because if you looked at the numbers at the end of the fight, everybody was complaining Gonzalez had the better percentage. So I don't know. It's a close fight. I think a draw would have been. I could see a draw more.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things where, Estrada's with matchroom boxing. Not that I want to say that, but let's be honest. Maybe they gave him the benefit.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's a close fight. I think it's a fight I'll watch again. There's certain fights that are very close. I need to watch again. And hopefully I'll get to it. And later down the line, I will break it down a little more round by round details. But overall, great fight, part 2. But what's next? The Gonzalez, let's say the part 3, it won't be next. Because the day before, I'm trying to pronounce his name, that beat Gonzalez twice.
From Thailand.
From Thailand, yeah. I'm trouble pronouncing his name. Ruskilin, something like that.
Yeah, it's something like that.
Right.
He has a Thai name. You know?
Right. So he fought
Sorry,
he fought the day before, and he had a nice early stoppage, and he is now the mandatory versus Strada.
So he's at 119, right?
Right.
So, we already know there's he's still fighting. I would love to see Gonzalez or Rigondeaux Gonzalez.
Rigondeaux.
Rigondeaux, man.
No, I think it's still entertaining.
Is it possible? Yes, but that Strada fight, I believe it was at 115. I think it was at 115.
Oh, so he went down.
Yeah, I believe it was 115.
Okay, so yeah, that's a little bit. Yeah, because he won't go up. Maybe he would go up.
Money talks in boxing. So,
yeah, it's true.
So if the check's clear, why not, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But Gonzalez, if he wanted part 3, he has to wait. So I think it could happen.
Okay.
Only time will tell, guys. But as we close, breaking down this fight and what do we thought of the fight? Like I said, I would like to see a part 3 later down the line. As far as Gonzalez, hopefully he can. I like to see him more active. The more active Chocolatito is, the better for him. And time will tell. Hopefully we see a part 3 the end of the year or early next year. But that concludes that. But also, I wanted to mention special guest today. We have Colby Madison. 8-2-2. He's making his appearance back to boxing April 24th at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, and it's promoted by Jeter Promotions. So we'll have him soon calling in, special guest today, and we look forward to that. But that was last week's recap. Now, guys, we got to jump into this week, and we got a jam-packed trio of fights. So we have the big fight. We have Vergil Ortiz versus Maurice Hooker. Great matchup, in my opinion. Guys,
that's definitely well because Maurice Hooker is a great boxer puncher with good movement, good hand speed, and it's going to be exciting, man. Because like I said, they always put on the show.
Vergil Hunter he's sharp. That kid is sharp. He's good. He's young.
Yeah,
he got a lot of power. You know what I'm saying? Pop. He's quick. I give the edge to Vergil Hunter on that, but I mean Vergil Ortiz on that, but
it's not going to be a walkthrough, man.
Definitely not. It's not going to be an easy fight.
There's a lot of heart. I've seen a lot of he has a lot of heart in this fight.
I think this is me personally. I think this is a good come up for Vergil Ortiz. I think Vergil Ortiz could be a superstar. What he's lacking is the name opponents. The big name. So hopefully this is the beginning of bigger and better names for him. And Maurice Hooker, there's nothing to be ashamed about. He lost to Ramirez in a great fight, and there's nothing wrong with losing to somebody great. And Ramirez is fighting in unification in May.
In that fight, man, Ramirez was throwing bombs, man. Like It was really like definitely it was really Hooker got hurt, but Hooker was doing his thing too, man. He was letting his hands go. He was throwing nice combinations. He was all crisp and sharp, man. But this is a sport of boxing, man, where one punch can change the tempo of a fight.
Exactly.
Right. I thought early in the fight, it was competitive back and forth fight, and then as we started approaching the early mid rounds, I saw Ramirez's his power become a factor, and that's where Hooker got caught and he couldn't bounce back.
Yeah, it definitely happens.
But there's nothing to be ashamed of, and I think this is a good step up. Like I said, Vergil Ortiz. We want the big names for him. He's called out Keith Thurman in the past, and he wants he's at this stacked division at 147 where we say to ourselves, can we take Vergil Ortiz seriously now?
Give him a Sean Porter fight.
Yeah.
I mean,
that would
build this resume now.
Right. Well, I think this is the beginning of. Yeah. I'm hoping Golden Boy puts him in a position where you fighting Maurice Hooker, you take care of business. Hopefully, you stop him in fantastic fashion, and then from ending the year, we could see him back in the summer.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of fighters being more active,
And that's the problem you have too, because when fighters are not active, we all see the weight gain, we see the rust, the legs are not there as much, the punches are not as there's not as much volume because they're trying to get their muscles back. A lot of times fighters come back and they get drained. So I definitely would love to see an active beard. There are a lot of fighters now having a more active beard than they had the past 3 years.
Right, definitely. I wish people would be like, back in the day, a few years ago, we had Gennady Golovkin fighting 3-4 times a year. And that's how he started getting that push.
Yeah,
and stopping people.
Right, and stopping people.
Stopping people, the
right.
boogeyman.
Right, and now we see Canelo. People are very tough on him his opponents or who he's fighting. But if a guy's gonna fight 3-4 times a year, I'm gonna have more leniency compared to a guy that fights twice a year and he's fighting a tomato can. One of his fights. In my opinion, if you're fighting twice a year, I want to see top level opponent.
But the thing about it was like Canelo's last opponent fought Darrell, so you can't even call him a tomato can because Darrell's a name. Both brothers are a name, and
right.
So Canelo just made the fight look easy and took the heart out of his opponent. I mean, because people understand is like when you're standing in front of a guy like Canelo, it's going to be you've got a lot to deal with.
Yeah, he's very frustrated.
You've got his whole aura in front of you now.
Right.
Now you know his resume. Now you know he has power, hand speed, defense. His footwork's getting better. So now,
I think it was one of those things where, I'm not blaming Canelo for that fight, in my opinion. For me, it's more that WBC and how they do mandatories and the president, Mauricio Sullivan, said that after the fight that they have to rethink and reevaluate
the
rankings and the mandatory and all that goes together. So and he did say something interesting. He said that the COVID-19 pandemic that played a factor in their rankings. So that was interesting.
Like I said, it's a lot of it's a lot of politics behind it, and it's things that people don't understand from behind the scenes, man. Promoters have a lot of pressure behind it.
Right.
From fights, the president, like I said, he told you that, look, it might have been a mistake for him, but you also have to put people in seats. So it's like, you have a lesser opponent to put on an exciting fight, or you have two top guys that could be a snooze fest.
Mm-hmm.
Both guys are on top of the game. They're both equally talented. We have some fights coming up this year. I'm not going to say, but that might be boring. It might be two guys calling at each other and trying to think.
Right, and we'll get into that a little more because I actually want to break that down a little more as far as why is boxing and the ratings been down lately for Showtime, which I'll break down a little more. But we'll get to that a little later. But as far as this whole situation with fighters being more active, for me, I'm thumbs up. I'm all for it.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. Like I feel like being more active. Forget the 0 losses. Having an O on the record doesn't mean anything. I'll bet on a guy that put everything on the line and is really there to come to fight than a guy just waiting for an opponent to beat that has an upside down record.
Right. So as far as Virgil Ortiz, I would like to see him fight 3 times this year.
Yeah, definitely. He deserves it too, and he should get them good fights lined up, man.
Maybe he'll put some fuel behind the 147-pound division, man. We have Jaron Ennis and guys like that.
I like Jaron Ennis.
So Virgil Ortiz and Jaron Ennis might have to meet one day. We have a lot of young lions coming up at 147, man. It's definitely a transition of fighters that are born in the 80s and guys coming up born in the 90s that are really trying to take over 147.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, no, Hunter, I agree with you 100%. I feel like the tide is turning right now. I feel like the 147 division is coming. There's a change coming, and I feel like your young lions, they're talking like they want to smoke. It's going to become soon. It's time to prove it, and the older guys at 147 it's going to be their time to just fade away.
Or go to 154.
Right.
And fill that division back up.
Right. Which is I think 147, 154, 160 division. I think it's at a great spot in boxing, and that's what we need right now.
Yeah, there's some there's other news about another fighter that was down at 140 and 147 going to 154.
Right. Which we'll get into that a little more.
Yeah.
But guys, I wanted to mention actually tonight there's boxing. So everybody should tune into NBCSN/Twitch.
Nice.
And I'm noticing what's going to go on later in the year. Everybody that is looking for more boxing news and boxing fights should go to ESPN.com/boxing and click schedule. And we're going to have Alberto Machado. He's fighting tonight.
Okay.
He's the main event. He was supposed to fight a different opponent, but he was supposed to fight Tanaha. But unfortunately, the fill-in is Angel Fierro. And it's still a competitive fight. And Machado, he only has his 2 losses, and that was a couple of years ago, and there's nothing to be ashamed of.
And he's also got and people even after the loss, he's got momentum.
Right. I mean, going forward, we got NBCSN/Twitch, Alberto Machado versus Angel Fierro on NBCSN/Twitch.
Mhm.
It's in Salinas, Puerto Rico, taking place. So that's good for boxing. We're seeing, especially Puerto Rico, we're seeing that. Also, Maricela Cornejo versus Alma Ibarro.
Oh yeah, she's good too.
Right, which she is the champion right now.
Yeah,
WBC champion.
She's good.
She's got complete skills, man. I used to watch her all the time on like Instagram and stuff like that.
Right.
She's got good footwork.
Right, and she's also fought on the zone before.
Yeah.
So I look forward to seeing these fights, and I have it pre-recorded. So hopefully, when I finish here, I'll catch the end of the main event and I'll check it out, and we definitely will have an up-to-date report about these fights next week on the show. But like I said, everybody check it out on NBCSN/Twitch. Main event, Alberto Machado versus Angel Fierro. And I look forward to that. But also, guys, we got to break down the other fights this weekend. So we just broke down, of course, Ortiz Hooker on the zone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have In Russia on ESPN/ESPN Plus at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We got a little special going on in Russia. The home crowd favorite, Mcbaby versus Ennis. And this fight was supposed to happen a few months ago, and unfortunately, because of COVID, Benavides had to step out of this fight and had to be postponed. But the good news is that, Saturday, we're going to get a treat. ESPN/ESPN Plus, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to get a solid fight. And Benavides, recently he was asked, this is very interesting to me. We talked about this a few weeks ago. He was asked, would you fight Canelo Alvarez? And he says, yes, ask him, would he fight me? So I see Melo with a chuck, Southpaw Melo with a chuck.
He has to be careful himself to be careful what he's asking for.
Okay.
Canelo Alvarez. My opinion about that is that he has a very strong dimension. But Canelo Alvarez has many strong dimensions, and it can't be overlooked. Canelo is still strong. Canelo still walks around 180 pounds, probably. Not trained for a fight. He's really a strong guy, and I think no light heavyweight should overlook him. I think that he can still campaign in his 30s at light heavyweight. And I have a feeling that he wants to unify 168. I think he wants to try to unify 175. We've had many other legends that have taken the middleweight route and ended at light heavyweight and made a name for himself. It's about legacy with Canelo.
Definitely. But Benavides seems like he's open for that fight. I would love to see Canelo Alvarez on a ESPN top-ranked pay-per-view.
And Benavides is still dangerous, because let's not take that for granted. He is very dangerous, and he has, he's going to come to fight, man. He's a very game opponent. He's probably top, I would say, number 1 at light heavyweight right now.
I agree, and I think as we narrow down Canelo Alvarez's opponents, obviously he's got a task May 8th versus Billy Joe Sanders, and if he takes care of business now, I think we're getting to that point where there's certain names that can't be avoided because everybody wants the golden ticket to Canelo Alvarez. So the question is, this small list, if he takes care of Billy Joe Sanders, what's next for him? Obviously, the Plant's there.
Yeah, he's trying to clear
Charlo's
168.
there.
He's trying to clear 168.
Benavides is there.
If he clears out the 4 in that division, if Canelo is successful and clears out the 4 men that we just mentioned, there's nothing for him left to prove at 168. I feel that he'll probably vacate the belts and probably go up in weight, and we might end up with a better beat. We might end up with it. Don't get me wrong. You might get a yard fight.
Or he might clear out the division and maybe he might retire. He's been fighting for a long time. His knees sometimes give him trouble. Who knows?
I think Canelo has more to prove. I don't see him going anything past like heavyweight. I will say that maybe Canelo has a lot of he has a lot to prove, man. I think he wants to shut the critics down. He's like, I cleared out 168, I cleared out 175. Look, having a yard fight and a Pascal fight with Canelo Alvarez will be exciting. And then he could retire like Andre Ward did.
True.
Right. I mean,
we heard about that rumor too.
Right. A lot about Andre Ward, but Andre Ward is on my list, one of the best fighters, of all time. He's up there, and unfortunately, he doesn't get the recognition that I think he deserves. So, hopefully, the boxing world will acknowledge him more. It's one of those things. It's like Floyd to me. People appreciate people when they're not there anymore. Unfortunately, I think we need to appreciate what we have now instead of when they retire or when they're gone. So going into that, the return of Mcbaby, he's open to the Canelo fight. Hopefully, we see that down the road. And also, I'm on IG Live. I want to shout out Kelly Pavlik actually for reaching out and showing Bars and Hoops Radio and AB Boxing News podcast support.
Great fighter there, Kelly Pavlik.
Shout out, man. Legend.
Definitely.
Shout out to Kelly Pavlik.
Like heavyweight, man.
Definitely fought his heart out in the ring. So props to him. Hopefully one day down the line we get to have him on the show.
That would be great.
Which would be amazing. I got some great questions for him. But I want to thank everybody that's tuning in on the IG Live. And with any questions, feel free to ask. And guys, like I said, Mcbaby makes his return. And also on the zone earlier, we have Oakley and Gulaki fighting. I think it's a 50-50 fight, entertaining fight. It's an early fight, which is good. So then it sets up, early afternoon Saturday. We got the Mcbaby on Top Right ESPN, ESPN Plus. Everybody tune into the zone. Early 3 o'clock Eastern time here. We'll have Oakley versus Gulaki. And then at nighttime on the zone, we have Ortiz and Hooker. So I think we're getting to that point where boxing is going to start getting jam-packed with fights and busy cards. And I'm looking forward to April and May because things are just going to be picking up. I
love that venues are starting to open up as well. As well as even sport bars too, man. The days of just going back, man, seeing a fight on a big screen. You know what I mean? Like sitting down, enjoying fights, man, talking with other, enthusiasts. I think those days are coming back, man. I cannot wait.
Definitely, guys. I think we're approaching a great summer coming up. I feel like next month we're going to get great weather in New York, and the rest is history. We're going to get all these fights, and hopefully, if we're lucky, we get to have New York City, Barclays Center, Brooklyn. Hopefully, we get a fight to end the summer at least.
Man. Yeah, I want to.
Hey, look, man. Everybody got their stimulus check. People going to buy a lot more pay-per-views, man. I'm excited.
Nah, I want to go. I want to go to these fights, man. I want to see these fights.
Now you can buy tickets.
Definitely. Well, stimulus check or not, I want to go to a fight.
I want to go, man.
I miss boxing. Haven't covered a fight since March 7th.
Oh
the last fight I went to was the Danny Garcia Ivan Redcatch fight.
Right. So we all miss boxing, and it's been a minute, guys. It's been a minute. So hopefully we see that, and hopefully we get some new announcements with some pay-per-views,
Yeah.
So hopefully things look forward. But guys, like I said, we have a jam-packed weekend. We got early in the day, Mcbaby, Diaz. Then we have that's ESPN Plus, Oakley versus Gulaki on the zone, Matchroom Boxing. And then at nighttime, we have Golden Boy in the zone with Ortiz Hooker. Great weekend of boxing. Tonight, like I said, tune in to NBCSN/Twitch, Machado versus Fierro. And now, guys, what's next? We got great fights this weekend. And boxing news, guys. So we had the announcement yesterday. We just mentioned before, Mr. Boots, Ennis. Jared Ennis.
The real book, man.
Okay, what are we gonna see? Well, I'm not gonna say that yet because although I think he's a great fighter, I think
he's got to be tested.
He's got to be tested, but this is his first test, so obviously there's been speculation, but now it's official. April 10th in Connecticut, we have Ennis versus Slippiness.
Oh, that's a good fight.
Great fight.
That's gonna be a great, definitely.
A lot of punches, a lot of counter punches in that fight.
Yes, I think it's a great fight, and I've seen Lipinets fight in the past in Maryland, and he had a great, probably a nomination, one of the fights of the year when he defeated Lamont Peterson, and that was a great fight. I thought Peterson was winning the fight early; they were going back and forth, and then I just seen the heart of Lipinets, who's never been stopped before.
Yeah, that guy's tough, man. That guy's tough. He keeps coming forward, man. You can hit him with everything in the kitchen sink. He'll still keep coming.
Yeah, I mean, there's no wrong losing to a guy like Mikey Garcia.
Yeah,
he got dropped, but he got up and he showed heart.
he did.
So,
He definitely did.
Long story short, I just think it's a good fight. It's official now, April 10th in Connecticut. We got Ennis versus Lipinets, and a lot of people have been talking about Mr. Boots. They're saying this guy could be the next superstar at 147. So my question is to you, Southpaw Mello, what would convince you for Mr. Boots to, let's say, give you more confidence in saying, you know what, he beats Lipinets and dynamic fashion, that we got to start considering him for these big fights, because he wants the big fights. He said it in the past, and maybe he takes care of Lipinets. Maybe he stops Lipinets.
Yeah, he has to outclass him pretty much the whole fight, stop him probably in the middle rounds. And, he needs to dominate the whole fight. But I think he has the capacity to do it. He has really crazy footwork, great head movement.
Yeah.
He could punch on the inside. He can fight on the outside. Very slick. He has really good reaction time. So he has all the tools to do it. He just has to put everything together and get it done.
I feel he General Ennis has a good jab, good footwork. He has all the solid tools. He has the height. He has a little bit of a decent reach. Lipinets is going to have a hard fight on his hand. It's going to be tough. He's going to have to tough it out, but I can see Jaron Ennis. In my opinion, he might win by UD.
Okay. I mean, honestly, I have this fight being a 50-50 fight. My question is, who in the beginning of the fight is going to show the ring rust?
That's tough. That's a tough call.
It's true.
It's a tough call, but I'm starting to feel like with all this ring rust, who comes out sharper, who's training better, and who takes advantage of the moment. I think this is a big fight for both fighters. Boots wants to be considered one of the top guys on the rise at 147. If he wants to be considered like that, he's got to win. He's got to win these fights, not just winning. You got to make a statement.
Like he's got to dominate.
He's got to dominate
every round.
Definitely. And as far as Lipinets, he's been inactive, obviously, but a big win against Boots, we could throw him right back in the mix.
Yeah, he's gonna have to put pressure, and don't let him set. You can't let Jaron Ennis set in front of you. If he sets in front of you, he's gonna throw whatever he wants to throw at you, and he's just gonna pick you apart. You got to constantly keep him backing up, keep putting that pressure, and keep him on the back foot.
Definitely. And speaking of that was April 10th, the announcement for Showtime Boxing, right? Ennis versus Lipinets. But it's been officially, obviously there was speculation about the reschedule for Joe Smith and Maxim Vlasov. Now it's official, April 10th as well.
Nice.
So this fight will take place at the Usage Casino in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
You got two big punches too, man. They're
right.
Big punches.
Right. So this was a fight that I wanted to see before, unfortunately, in the camp of Vlasov, someone tested positive, which was him. And long story short, the fight was postponed.
Now, Joe Smith, right? This will probably be, like I said weeks ago, I said what got canceled. This will be the first time we actually see Joe Smith really get on the wheels and really start boxing. I think that this will be the only opponent that will make him, really do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I feel that that'll be the opponent that can really make him show that, yo, you know what, I can actually box.
Okay.
And not just a puncher that just comes with a high guard and walks forward. I can see him using his jab. I think I compared him to a light heavyweight, Tommy Morrison.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. Well, I look forward to this fight. And also on the card is high prospect 8-0 Jared Mcbaby Anderson. And he fought not too long ago. Heavyweight fight not too long ago.
He got a KO, right?
He had a deadly KO.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, deadly KO not too long ago, about a month, less than a month actually. Yeah, so he's on the card. He's a rising star at heavyweight, and I like what Top Rank is doing with him. I like that they're keeping him active and they're pushing him. And let me tell you something, guys. If he keeps getting these kind of knockouts, his knockout is up there already. When knockout of the year for 2021. If he keeps this momentum going, I think next year he'll get himself an eliminator fight for a championship.
Well, you got like a guy like him. Then you got I'm not gonna say the short heavyweights, but he's not that short, but he's still like a Luis Ortiz height, or Andy Ruiz. Like those would be good fights in the future for him.
Yeah.
He keeps climbing the ladder.
Definitely, yeah. I look forward to seeing him and how he ends his opponents. He last time he had, like I said, potential knockout of the year. If he keeps his streak going on, he's going to become must-see TV, just like also on Top Right, Edgar Berlanga, with his knockout streak and the way that he's finishing fights.
Yeah. He definitely will. He will definitely have that type of push.
Definitely. So I look forward to this fight. Before I did say to Southpaw Melo and Nose Hunter, I did say that
we got a call.
I favor Joe Smith. We have a phone call. Antonio Baez with AB Boxing News Podcast. Who's calling in?
Yeah, how you doing, Kobe Madison?
What's going on? Kobe Madison. Kobe, how's everything?
Pretty good.
Okay. Glad. Thank you for calling in. I'm also with Southpaw Melo.
How you doing, bro?
And the Nose Hunter, the urban legend.
Okay, yep. So
Good. Thanks for calling in, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, without a doubt. I appreciate y'all letting me call, man.
Oh, no problem. Anytime, Kobe. So, Kobe, I wanted to definitely appreciate you calling in. I wanted to talk to you about your return in the ring, April 24th at the 2300 Arena.
Yeah.
So you got the news with association with Jeter Promotions, which is a great guy, Mr. Jeter.
Good guy.
Great guy. I wanted to ask you, when you got that phone call to return to boxing, April 24th, what was your first reaction?
Man, I was overzealous, man. I was excited.
That's great. Now, I'm not a fighter, but I wanted to ask you, being obviously you're a fighter, 8-2-2, your record, obviously you're looking for your ninth win come April 24th. What could the fans expect come fight night?
They definitely can expect a knockout, man.
Hopefully
it's a short night.
Okay.
But definitely trying to get that guy out of there.
Okay. Now, as far as your opponent, do you have a little more information on that as of now?
I think he's 4'15". He's like 5'11".
Okay, so he's a vet.
Shorter than me.
Okay.
He fought a little recent. After I fought, because of the COVID kind of like messed me up. So Marshall Kaufman wasn't really doing any fights because of the COVID.
Right. But so you would say he's a vet. He has a lot of fights in him.
Yeah, he's a vet.
He's a vet.
Yeah.
And you have 12 fights, so he does have a little more experience. Now, as far as you fighting come, April 24th, what is the game plan come fight night?
Game plan, I mean, a lot of lateral movement. Keep my jab. Try to let him fall asleep on the jab so I can just land the right hand, get him out of there.
Definitely. Now, could you tell us about your involvement with Jeter Promotions?
Yeah. So my first pro fight was on Jeter Promotions.
Right.
When I first turned pro. So we always stayed in contact, and I was trying to fight at home locally because all my fights was in PA or Philly because I'm signed with King's Promotions.
Okay.
And I kept telling G-Lock, is it cool if I fight at home? When he said I had to get approved by Marshall first. So we always stayed in contact.
That's great to hear.
Also, we started seeing each other a lot more because I trained in his gym because of the COVID now.
Okay, that's
because
great.
the gym that I was going to Upton, that gym closed down because of the COVID and then opened back up yet.
Right. It's definitely boxing's been obviously a tough 2020. But as far as you, 2021, what is your goals coming into this year?
My goal is to win every fight. I'm hoping that I can get 4 fights before the year out. To put me at 12-2. the good thing I say about the COVID did, even though it slowed me down, it helped my hand heal 100% because I was having hand problems, and I think I was using it too fast as I broke it.
Okay, so
because I had to get 3 surgeries on it.
wow. Okay, so the hand's good, 100% now.
Yeah, the hand great. I don't even think about it when I'm in the ring, or even when I'm hitting the bag. I just let it go now.
That's great to hear. Now tell us about your trainer and where you're training.
So I'm training at Gita Gym. It's called Ortiz Fitness. So I got Rodney Hunt. He been doing my training, and got a big ticket. He used to be a professional fighter too. He was 15-3 as a heavyweight.
Okay.
So they kind of bite me in there. So they both train me.
That's great to hear.
We have a pretty good camp.
That's great to hear. Now we're in March, but we're in the middle of March. Your fight is just a little over a month away.
Yes.
Now, could you give us an insight about training camp as far as the preparations you're making coming into April 24th?
I do a lot of strength training. I do it 3 days a week, but I also do the boxing right after I do the strength training on those 3 days. So I won't tighten up. So I probably do 3 miles every other day. And the other days, the odd days is sprints, and I run like 5 miles once a week. Probably sparring 2 to 3 times a week. I'm gonna tighten up the sparring a little bit more now, so we won't go on to 3 days of sparring next week.
Nice.
And then training, so you're not finished sparring.
That's great to hear. It sounds like you're deep into camp. Obviously, a little over a month away, but you're definitely getting ready for the big fight come April 24th.
Yeah.
Now, as far as you mentioned 4 times a year you want to fight this year.
Yeah, I'm trying to get 4 times this year before the year is over.
Right, and then that's your goal. Obviously you're 8-2-2, 12 fights in you. I wanted to ask you, what fighter or what fight got you inspired, loving boxing, that made you want to become a professional boxer?
Well, I don't take it too far back, but I mean, of course, I was young, but Larry Holmes always been my guy.
Okay.
Great jab.
Yeah, great jab.
Yeah.
I'm giving wrong. I love Muhammad Ali a lot, but from Larry Holmes' trainer under Muhammad Ali, he didn't make a lot of mistakes. I'm not gonna say mistakes, but he kept his hands up. He did keep the jab. He didn't really play a lot in the ring, but it's only one Muhammad Ali, so I know that you can't be Muhammad Ali because it's only for him. Just like you can't be a Floyd Mayweather. That fighting style is only for him. But you can mimic Larry Holmes.
Definitely.
Now, me being a light heavyweight, I do. Did you see the fight? I know you studied the fight with Larry Holmes and Tim Witherspoon, like that classic.
Yeah.
Like that to me, like that, a lot of guys are like, if you notice, they neglect the jab though. Like those, like you just said, one of the best jabs probably of all time. Larry Holmes. And I guess you're building your legacy off of your fundamentals, right?
Yeah.
Now, Colby, I wanted to ask you about, we talked about your trainer, where you're training. You said to us, Larry Holmes is one of your inspirations. Now,
yes,
that's not too.
And James Toney, man,
James Toney, the greatest defensive fighter of all time.
Yeah, great defensive man, and I respect him because he ain't even jog. He ain't like Brendan, so he said, I'm just going to spar to get in shape.
Yep.
Okay, I was just about to ask you, and I was just about to mention a couple fighters, but you definitely nailed it right there. James Toney, a great defensive fighter, and as this week, we heard the sad news, the passing of the great, the marvelous Marvin Hagler. So I don't know if I'm sure you've seen the greatest 3 minutes ever in boxing, greatest round, greatest 3 minutes.
Yeah.
As he passed away, and we got the news from social media outlets, and his wife had confirmed it and made the statement. As you reflect in the past, like you said, you mentioned Larry Holmes, James Toney, and the passing, rest in peace to the great, marvelous Marvin Hagler. Is what a fighter like Marvin Hagler, What a fantastic record, by the way. Only 3 losses in his whole career, and he fought the best. Coming into this era of boxing, is there anybody that you would say, that's similar to all these greats that you mentioned just before?
I say the 2 guys that I watch now, they not heavyweight. I like Canelo.
Okay.
Because he's an all around fighter, and I like I always mix him up. I think it's the younger Charlo that got all the belts.
Yes, 154 Charlo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the one that got all the belts. Because I still don't think he lost that fight, but you don't supposed to leave it up to the judges.
Oh, the Harrison fight?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Harrison. But,
very good fight,
but,
though.
But he got a good jab. He got good defense, man. He can move around a lot. And at times he can bank, and I respect him because Hagler used to do that. He don't have a problem going to war.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Now, through IG, I'm getting multiple questions asking me, April 24th, what weight class will you be in?
No, I'm fighting heavyweight.
Okay, heavyweight.
Now,
you mentioned heavyweight.
And let them know I don't look like that picture no more. I'm not definitely
Okay.
That was the old picture.
Okay, so they got to update you. So come April 24th, you get that knockout. We're going to see some fresh pictures.
Yeah, fresh pictures.
Definitely.
Even at the weigh-in a day early, had some fresh pictures.
Nice.
Just gonna have had the mask on though.
Definitely, it sounds great. Now you're in a division where the heavyweight division is rising the last few years. As far as you, let's say you do end the year off, 4 fights, 12-2. Is there any fighter that your goal will be to get him in the ring, in the near future?
Not right this second.
Right, in the future though.
I ain't think that far, but I mean, there's a couple fighters. I definitely want to fight the guy that I lost to because it really wasn't. I'm not gonna say it was a real. It was a fight, but I got hit in the back of the head. And kind of like took my equilibrium off. That was my last loss.
Okay.
I can't think of his whole name. I know they call him the Gladiator, so I do want to fight him again. I'm gonna ask my promoter if we can set that up. Maybe at the end of the year or the beginning of the year.
Definitely.
If it could work.
Definitely run it back.
Yeah, avenge that loss.
Yeah.
But the last question I wanted to ask you was, this week it's been confirmed there's the heavyweight division. Since you're in the heavyweight division, we have the Joshua and Fury 2-fight deal was confirmed. If these 2 dynamic heavyweights fight, and it looks like a summer date is going to happen, who do you have winning this fight?
It goes on to Fury, man. I think if Fury mind right and he's in shape, I don't think nobody can really beat that guy.
That's fair to say.
Because he's just a different heavyweight, man.
I agree. He moves too well for heavyweight.
He reminds me of a middleweight. Like
he
can move, he can switch it up, he can do both, and he got enough power to keep you at bay.
I laugh that you say that.
And when he got dropped by Deontay Wilder and he got up, he punished Deontay Wilder at that round.
Yeah.
So that round could have been a tie in 12 rounds.
I'm so glad that you say that because I do get in a lot of arguments with people about that. I said, okay, well, if he was hurt that bad, why was his leg so solid when he got up? And you being a fighter, you know what it's like to be hurt. And how did he outbox him 12 rounds? I said, Wilder should have finished him. I totally agree.
He outboxed him. He got up out of nowhere and just took it straight to Wilder.
Yeah, he woke up with no fear. Yeah, no fear.
And you can't beat a guy like that because everybody a little nervous till you get hit. Because usually, because you don't know, this guy training and you training, so you got a little bit. I don't think Fury really gets in the ring with that no more.
He's dealt with a lot of stuff.
Even when he got dropped by Cunningham, that was like, man, out of nowhere when Cunningham caught him. He got up and he beat the brakes off Cunningham.
Exactly.
So that's 2 fights that he done been dropped and looked like he wasn't going to get up and wound up finishing great.
Definitely.
Now, of course, Deontay Wilder was a draw, but he beat Cunningham. But then the second fight, he demolished Wilder. And I like Wilder. I got a lot of respect for him. But definitely was a different fight, different Fury that showed up.
Yeah, he
Came there
definitely
with
switched
just,
up.
like he had kill mode in his head.
Definitely. It was a great fight, part 1 and 2. I do have a question for you, an IG Live question from one of your fans. He's asking, as a fan, not knowing much about business, what stops a fighter from fighting multiple times a year? This question is directly to you.
Probably not a good time. Probably not the right fight at the person.
Okay.
Could it be money problems? Because I did have a couple fights for the COVID, but the money they was offering was like super bad for a lot of rounds, and it wasn't worth it at all.
Right. So to the IG Live question, you would say, politics and business side.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, that I appreciate your honest answer because every week we're on and we get questions through fans and it's great to get this feedback from a fighter.
Yeah.
But Colby, before I let you go, how can the fans reach you?
Kobe Madison 1, that's my Instagram, and on Facebook it's Kobe Madison.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I even got my phone number on that, so I ain't hiding that. So anybody text me, I respond.
He's
Nice,
real.
yeah.
He's real.
Respect.
No, that's respect, actually.
Yeah, respect. That's real, man.
The only fight I saw do that was Shannon Briggs.
Yeah, I got Shannon Briggs' number.
Definitely. So I want to thank you for calling in, Kobe Madison. Guys, check it out. Get your tickets. Jeter Promotions, April 24th at the 2300 Arena. Reach out to Kobe. I'm sure he'll have some tickets for all his fans. And we look to get you back on the show after your knockout, April 24th.
Yes,
Yep,
sir.
you heard it here.
Yeah, I would love that.
He's getting that knockout.
A nose hunter, certified knockout.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, Kobe Madison. Kobe, we'll talk to you very shortly, and feel free anytime to call back in.
All right, thanks a lot. Yeah, have a good night.
Have a good night.
You too, sir.
Take care. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Check out Kobe Madison, April 24th at the 2300 Arena. 8-2-2 at the heavyweight division, Jeter Promotions. It's going to be a great show. AB Boxing News looks to have live coverage. Myself with the Nose Hunter, the Urban Legend, look to be in the building. So we're going to have those up-to-date videos, exclusives. Definitely will have it. And we will definitely be live come fight night, April 24th.
Nice.
So I want to thank Mr. Jeter himself personally for giving me access to Kobe Madison and just in general, just being a very, very, very good man,
Yeah. Guys, I just want to touch on one thing. It's Women's History Month, right? We had the first women's pay-per-view card this month.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to shout out my mom. She was diagnosed with lymphoma cancer. She's fighting. She's family of fighters. My mom Gladys. She's tough and she's doing her chemo and everything, but she's tough. She's gonna push through this. Love you, Mom.
Definitely. Shout out.
With all due respect.
Shout out South Palmetto's mom and all the women. This is women's.
Yeah.
This is a big month. We already got history. Clarissa Shields, congratulations on the win and making history. You're setting a trend that 50 years from now we could say Shields did it first.
Mm-hmm.
Two-time gold medalist, unified 2 times. She's beating male records. And I argue with people, man, we can't just stop. We got to stop saying women, female boxing. We got to start calling them fighters.
Yeah, fighters.
Women just boxers because they're breaking records. They're getting
Amanda Serrano. Look at Amanda Serrano. 8 divisions.
Next to Pacquiao. She's up there.
Right.
Talking about Pacquiao and De La Hoya.
Right, definitely. So shout out this big month for women's boxing.
Yes.
Definitely. So I want to thank Kobe Madison for calling in. And guys, I look forward to that fight. Like I said, live coverage, JV Boxing News in the building in Philadelphia, 2300 Arena. And on to the next subject, guys. So, hate him or love him, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. makes his return.
Mr. McDonald's. I'm playing.
Mr. McDonald. Tough words from Nose Hunter. Southpaw. When you hear June 19th,
Ooh.
Exhibition pay-per-view in Mexico. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. makes his return against, interesting, Hector Camacho Jr.
It's still macho time. It's still macho time.
I think it's great. I think it's great for
Yeah.
boxing, man. Two sons of two legends. Get it on, fought each other.
That's it.
Fought each other. So let's see how it goes. Chavez, I'm not counting Chavez. I might joke on him, but he's still a tough fighter. Like let's not,
Yeah. I follow Hector Camacho Jr. and he was calling out Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. because he wanted to get revenge for his father. But I guess he couldn't get the father, so he's like, I want to beat up the son.
No, I think he shouldn't take Chavez Jr. lightly, man.
Nah.
Chavez Jr. still has power.
Yeah, he still got power.
Still has power. I mean, what's interesting about this fight? I know it's an exhibition. It's in Mexico. It is on a pay-per-view platform, which will have more details in the coming weeks. But to me, I'm just more surprised. Where is this Chavez Jr. coming from? Now he wants to be super active. We needed this 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
Well, before Canelo, but I think he was drained when he fought Canelo.
Definitely drained.
I think he was a little weak. Some people get the fire lit in him. He's at 168, right? Like he's got Benavidez up there and guys like that. I think he may want to give his, give his second win, how we say, and he may want to be in that spot again. He was once in that spot, and he was once in that talk. So, he's seeing all the guys that are, shining at 168. He doesn't want to be left out the party.
I mean, if you're in Mexico and you want to see an exhibition fight, and like I said before, and I agree with you guys, I think Chavez Jr. still has a pop in him.
Yeah, exhibitions are great too, man. It doesn't go on your record, and you get to fight in front of people without really much to lose.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a win-win.
Yeah,
definitely.
I like it too. No son of these some exhibitions this year too.
Oh yeah, we got to get some. We got to get on some cards together.
Well, hopefully Southpaw Mello and No Hunter could get some sparring going on with them two.
Yeah, definitely.
And then we get some footage, and then we can speak about it here.
We'll definitely do
who
that.
won the sparring match?
Yeah. We got to train Antonio for a few months. That we throw him in there too.
Oh man, I'm gonna be shedding them pounds.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, that's not a bad thing with summer coming up. Definitely. I'll definitely be learning. So that's a great thing. Now, as far as that exhibition, my reaction towards this fight is good. I actually would like to see Chavez fight more fights, but just real fights.
Yeah.
Not exhibition. But it's the more active Chavez Jr., the better for boxing, I would say.
I agree. I think Chavez Jr. too. He still has star power. Just even based off of his name. His name it holds weight. And I just think that he's I was a little disappointed in Danny Jacobs' fight, but he can come back from it. I think maybe he got the fire lit in him, and he's really gonna prove himself.
Definitely. Now, on to the next subject, guys. I wanted to talk about this a little bit before we end the show, and we gotta recap. We didn't mention Benavidez and Ellis fought at Showtime Boxing on Saturday.
Yes, Benavidez looked good. He made weight. He changed his diet up, so he actually didn't look drained. Before the fight, he was having interviews. He looked really good. He was doing hand traps. He was putting punches together, combinations, having fun in there, smiling. Benavidez looked sharp, man.
Don't get me wrong. Ellis was putting up a good fight too, man. He was counting punches. He was a tough opponent, man. Benavidez was filling them punches, and but Benavidez, he got his killers at 168, man. It's gonna be. There's gonna be a lot of guys dropping at 168, man. Like just going down, man, because the deck is stacked, man. We got a lot of killers there, man. It's a shark tank at 168. I'm not gonna lie.
Definitely. I mean, as far as the fight, I saw the fight. I thought early in the fight, Ellis came to win, and I felt like the experience of David Benavidez, he showed his skill set, and he looked sharp. In my opinion, I thought it was a great performance. Great stoppage by the ref.
Yes, definitely
took called the fight in the 11th.
He saved Ellis from himself.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So Ellis can, hopefully fight later in the year, and I look forward to that. Now, unfortunately, this was a low ratings for Showtime, so I wanted to mention this. So this fight, the viewership was at the highest number. They peaked at 260K. The average was 230K. So, guys, we're seeing an unfortunately bad trend for Showtime boxing because Adrian Broner, he had fought about a month ago, and he fought Santiago, and that was low ratings as well.
Well, the fight to me, look, Broner had a lot of rust. I think it wasn't that exciting to people. Adrian Broner just came back. So, let's see what he has for the rest of the year. The ratings, it could have been, it's the whole card. Like I said, man, time of the year, a lot of stuff is going on, new president, and a lot of people are distracted. A lot of people probably weren't tuning in.
Well, you had the zone card at the same time. I was watching both at the same time. I thought that the zone card was a little bit better, a little more action under the zone.
Right.
So I kind of was more fixated under the zone card until the Benavidez fight came in. But yeah, Showtime, I guess they need to try to, get some, good fights coming in, but boxing's just picking up. So they might be able to pull some really good cards in the future and build back up.
Right. To be fair about the Benavidez-Ellis fight, there wasn't a big promotion for this fight.
Yeah.
It was announced nearly a month ago. Usually a fight's announced 2-3 months in advance. Press conference, all the works. So I feel like this fight was kind of
rushed. It was like a rushed card.
Right. It was announced late. I thought Benavidez, as far as the low ratings, are we seeing a trend of 2021 where we should be concerned about Showtime's ratings? Broner, low ratings, Benavidez, low ratings. Would you say Showtime boxing should be concerned about this?
I don't think so. I mean, COVID, hit. It's hard to get certain fights because who's testing positive, who wasn't really training hard. Boxing starting to pick back up. I think Showtime is going to be able to, pull it back together before the end of the year and get some nice cards on there and get some that viewership up.
I think it's interesting. I think it is concerning, in my opinion, and I think fans are getting tired of having lopsided fights. I think it's getting to a point. We could point out Showtime's low ratings, but we could also be fair and say Top Rank ESPN had low ratings during the COVID situation, and many people were home. So if anything, you would think the ratings be higher.
Higher, yeah.
And it wasn't. So Showtime has back-to-back low ratings. Broner fight, Benavidez fight. Top Rank had low ratings. Even with their potential knockout of the year of Burchell and the winner Valdez, that surprisingly did lower than Caleb Plant's fight that was on Fox PBC.
And the guy that Caleb Plant fought, a lot of people weren't familiar with.
Right. I mean, I'm familiar with Caleb Truax, but a lot of people aren't. So surprisingly, the better fight, in my opinion, was Valdez knocking out Burchell.
Yes.
It did under $1 million. While Caleb Plant had a unanimous decision, and his fight did nearly $2 million, which is one of the highest that PBC on Fox has had in over a year. So honestly, I think it's coming down to the point where we want to match up. People want to see the best versus the best.
Yes.
And we need to see that. And speaking of Benavidez, he's been going back and forth, calling out Big Charlo, and Big Charlo has called him out, said, "Let's make it happen." So
it's a great fight, and I don't care who loses.
Definitely, I think it'd be an amazing fight. I hope to see it. Hopefully, Charlo said recently on his Instagram that he's game for it, and let's make the fight happen. So
it's two guys not going on the back leg, plotting forward, and throwing power punches. I mean, it's an exciting fight. Who's going to counter punch who? Who's got the faster jab? Who's got the faster hands? Who's going to break first? I like these are great fights that happen, man. I think that it's a new era of boxing, man. The Cold War is over.
Definitely. I want to give a shout out to Scooter, one of the best trainers.
Shout out to Scooter.
Shout out to Scooter.
Shout out Scooter.
Shout out to all the teachers.
Right. Shout out Scooter, one of the best strength and conditioning coaches out there. He strength and conditions Edgar Berlanga and many more fighters. So definitely check him out. Follow his social media outlet. And guys, as we wrap up today's show, final words, Southpaw?
Boxing is definitely picking up, and the viewership is definitely going to go up. I feel like Showtime's going to turn it around this year.
Okay. Nose Hunter?
You know me, I'm always on the hunt. I want to collect too, man. Time to get back in the gym.
I was there today. So
real quick, I know you mentioned in the previous weeks that you're making your return in the summer in the UK.
Yeah, I'm coming back soon. Bringing Barcelona Radio to the UK. Want to check out the Gents Man workout? You know, I might bring my mouthpiece and headgear and cup. Who knows?
Might as well. If you're there in that and the UK, why not? As far as me, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to thank Jetter Promotions. I want to thank Kobe Madison for calling in. Everybody check him out. April 24th at the 2300 Arena. He's looking for his 9th win. He's 8-2-2 at the heavyweight division. Me personally, I will be there in the building with the Nose Hunter, AB Boxing News, live coverage. Check out our YouTube channel at AB Boxing News. And guys, I look forward to this weekend's fight. And everybody, check it out early. Saturday, ESPN, ESPN Plus, the return of Benavides. And then we have early 3 p.m. Eastern time. We have Olaki versus Galaki. And then at nighttime, that's on the zone. And then at nighttime, we have a big fight at 147. We have Ortiz versus Hooker. So, ladies and gentlemen, check out Saturday big fights. You cut it?
No, by itself.
Damn.
Yes.
Damn it, cut a 9. I was just about to say bye.